So I'm going to hand it now over to Artie, who's the chair of our North America Leadership Council, just to open us with a blessing before we begin our call.
And as we breathe in this sound, we breathe in the air that we share. We are one together in this moment. We set down all the concerns, obligations, concerns that we have in this world. We relax our hands. We sit comfortably so that we can be our authentic selves in these moments together. You are a blessing and blessed. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Artie. So welcome to the call, everyone. My name is Sari Heidenreich. I'm the North American Regional Coordinator for URI, and so happy to have you on the call today and to be in community together as we get very close to the end of the year. Just so you know what we're gonna do today, we're gonna start by, we have Victor here, who's the Executive Director of URI, and he is gonna share with us exciting things that have happened in the URI community globally over the past year and what we're looking towards in the next year. And then I'm going to share a little bit about something specific to our region of North America. As you probably registered with the emails and the announcement, this is a call specifically for our URI North America community. And there will also be a call, I believe it's next week, for a community call for our entire global community. So we have these concentric circles. So after I share and after Victor shares and then I share, we're going to go into breakout groups, which Zoom has this wonderful feature where we can go into small groups and have some discussion, and we have some guiding questions leading us into reflection about the year that we are about to complete and into anticipation of the year that we are about to enter. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Victor to share with us some updates and exciting news.
Greetings, everyone. It's lovely to be with you and to see faces of old friends and new people. Some of you I was together with at the spectacular North America Assembly earlier this year, which was for me one of the great highlights of the year. A gathering that has not taken place in quite some time of our North American cooperation circles coming together to build and deepen relationship, to share work and inspiration, and to grow this important region within the global world of URI. I should say that the other night, Bill Swing held a holiday party at his house, and we in the course of that unrolled a map of URI globally and said that really we thought the vision was too small and that we really needed to move into an interplanetary goal for URI. And we projected onto the ceiling the constellations of the world. So just to keep us thinking big and expansively. But North America has been such an important part of URI, the place where URI, out of which URI was born, and many of you have been part of URI for a long, long time. I also should say that in a world where there is deepening division, deepening conflict, that there perhaps is nowhere more so than in the United States. And so the work of URI, of people uniting around common cause, bringing our aspirations for a peaceful and just world together in the United States, as well as North America and Canada and this whole region, is an extraordinarily important moment in one part of the world's journey in the interfaith realities in which we live. So it is lovely to be with you all. We're doing important work here in North America and also around the world. And just very briefly to give you a sense of the landscape in which your work, your cooperation circles work, the North American work fits. The Global Council of Trustees, the board of URI, which has 3 elected trustees from each of our 8 regions, as well as some appointed trustees, is the governing body of URI. It is such an unusual structure because, as is the grassroots way of URI, it is the grassroots members who elect members of their own cooperation circles to serve as the governing body of URI, for whom I work and who I'm responsible for. And in our deliberations over these past few years, we've outlined strategic directions for URI that came from contacting many cooperation circles around the world and input from all regions. And I'll just share my comments briefly in the context of those 4 areas, what's been happening in URI. The 4 areas of importance for us in the next 5 years as we really move ahead fall in the categories of growth and impact, capacity building and leadership, organizational sustainability and global connection and increased visibility. And those are broad categories, but I'll just dig a little deeper. Growth and impact. URI is in a period of extraordinary growth, and in some ways no more place more so than in North America, where there is remarkable growth happening of people being interested in joining the URI network. URI is a movement. It's a movement. It's not an organization. It's more of an organism than it is an organization. And as such, that movement we want to grow and expand and to engage this important work. And we added about 90 cooperation circles globally this past year to reach now 960 cooperation circles in 108 countries, which is really extraordinary. And I have the great joy of spending time with many of those cooperation circles in their own places. I'll just pause to welcome people who are joining and welcome to this North America call. And I'm just giving a little report globally, and then Sari will guide us through the rest of our time. In the world of capacity building and leadership, also I should say in growth and impact, there is an important project happening called the Principle 19 project. Principle 19 is we are looking for organizational learning and adaptation. And so we are looking at impact. How does our work impact people locally, people regionally? What's the impact of our cooperation circles? What's the impact of the network? That's an important project that we're engaged in. And just a few other things, capacity building and leadership, where there's a training program happening for all of our staff. We elect new trustees every other year to join us, and that's an important part. And we are working towards a global leadership gathering in June, which will happen here in the Bay Area. And those of you in this part of the world, you'll all be invited if you'd like to join us for a 2-day conference an international conference on interfaith strategies for global peace building, where we work to bring people together in assemblies around the world, in training programs around the world, and give the URI network a chance to share with each other the work that they're doing and build community as well as share strategies. Organizational sustainability. We're in a time of really trying to anchor URI's long-term organizational sustainability that includes financial sustainability, and we raise about 98% of our funds from individuals in North America. We're trying to broaden that both across North America and globally, and also build a program of foundation and corporate relations fundraising that will enable us to have more resources available to support the work of cooperation circles through regions. So and we have a campaign happening at the moment. We're raising a core endowment to support URI operations, and it's a big project, and it's very exciting, and we believe will leave a long legacy of being able to support core work of grassroots people doing this work in the world. And then finally, things like this, Global Connection, here we are magically in little boxes, looking at one another face-to-face or phone-to-face, and it is extraordinary how this has changed our life, that people all over the world, I spend a lot of my life on Zoom, but we can be at least virtually face-to-face, look into each other's eyes, speak and listen to each other, get some of the nonverbal cues that aren't available to us on a conference call, and do our work together as we build community. And I should say that in part of that visibility, this year was the North America Assembly, and how that was just a kind of seminal moment for URI in North America. It was the Reimagining Interfaith Conference that some of you are at, that Sari was so essential in creating, where lots of people from around the world came together to talk about interfaith. Just returned from the Parliament of the World's Religions, where URI was everywhere. It was kind of extraordinary to see URI's visibility and the ways in which young people and women leaders were kind of at the vanguard of URI's work there at the Parliament of the World's Religions. And then some of us were at the G20 summit, where URI helped to organize the whole piece. Others of us were in Dubai, where the World Tolerance Summit held for the first time, and URI was a key partner there. And then I actually just returned from the UN, where we have key partnerships at the United Nations through the Alliance of Civilizations, through the UN Population Fund and the Office of Genocide Prevention. And so the URI's kind of visibility and engagement as a partner, a global partner, bringing grassroots voices into the places of decision-making and policy has been crucial. So it's a whirlwind, it always is at URI. I'm so grateful to the North America leadership team, to Artie and Fred and Valeria, and all the folks who serve as trustees, and Johnny and leaders, for your guidance and support and inspiration. My work would be meaningless without the work of folks like yourself, and to Sari, who I pass the baton back to, but not without saying, there are shining lights in the URI community, but none shines as brightly as Sari does. And so we are so grateful for her work. And thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you. So I just have the honor of following that up, and thank you, Victor, for your leadership of the URI community and the way you're guiding us through both the sustainability and the funding, and also all of the strategic planning that's been happening with the Global Council. It certainly is bringing us into a new era for URI as we enter almost our 20th year, not quite, but we're on the heels of it. For anyone who's just joined, welcome. I would invite you to right-click on your picture, on the three little dots in the top corner of your picture, and add what state or province you're calling in from, so we can just have a sense of who's here. So far, we've got, I think, all the way from British Columbia to Florida, which if you draw a diagonal line, that is probably the greatest distance we can have. So great to see a spanning of the countries here. I want to just share with you a little bit about what's happened for URI in North America in this past year, and also some exciting things about where we're going in 2019. And as Victor mentioned, it's been a big year, and I have been working on reports. And as I've been doing things, I'm like, wow, no wonder I'm tired. Like, just to think of the year that we've had is incredible. And this has just been a banner year. I sat in this same place last December as we had this call and talked about the fact that we were coming up to a really exciting year. And so to be at the end of that is just really surreal. We started the year last year, and I have a few photos to share with you. We started the year last year really early in the year with a trip for young people to the United Nations, and this trip is going to be happening again this year. So if you have folks in your circle who you think would be interested, you should have gotten an email about it, or you can contact me. There's an application that's due January 2nd. But this trip happened last early February, and it was a time for these young people not only to experience the United Nations and some mentorship and sharing from the women you see here are part of our URI UN team, sharing with the two young men on your right who are part of our delegation that went. They also got to experience the UN itself and what it feels like to be in this place where so many decisions are made. And we've really seen this program just be an incredible point at so many young leaders' lives, and have really seen people who participated in this program in the past continue on to great leadership. And so it's also a way for us to promote World Interfaith Harmony Week and International Day of Peace, which are two of the big UN days that URI partners on and really encourages our cooperation circles to engage in. Then at the beginning of the year, we started this new thing called CC Spotlights. We really were having a focus on the whole cooperation circle feeling a part of URI, not just the person who's designated as the contact for the circle. And so one of the ways that we started, a new thing we were trying, was called Cooperation Circle Spotlights. And so every month, a Cooperation Circle contact will get in their inbox 3 short paragraphs about stories from all over the URI that you can share with members of your cooperation circle in your monthly meeting or whatever the right venue might be. In April, we were a part of Golden Rule Day, which was, it hasn't been in existence for a while, but this was the first time that it has been marked with a global webcast, and URI partnered with the Charter for Compassion and the Golden Rule Projects to do 24 hours. Yes, it was as crazy as it sounds, 24 hours of programming from all around the world, and many, many URI cooperation circles were featured, in addition to this being a collaboration hosted by cooperation circles themselves. And this project will also be happening again this year, and you're all invited to contribute content, and there is a form on goldenruleday.org where you can put in your idea for content, and that'll be considered by the team, and all of our URI members have been invited to think about how they might be interested in participating. So we moved through the spring, and then in July, we got to our regional assembly, which, as Victor mentioned, it was really momentous for us as a region. We had not had a regional assembly, which is a gathering of all of the members of URI in a specific geographic area. We hadn't had one of those for the US and Canada in about 9 years. And so this was a big deal and much anticipated. And we had 85 people there from 61 different cooperation circles and affiliates. And the process was incredible of being there, but I actually want to start a few months back in January, when a call went out to plan the assembly, and this amazing group of people that you see here pictured minus a few stepped forward to plan this gathering for all of us. And so this really was a gathering that came up from within our community and was planned by members of our community. So a huge shout out to everyone who served on our assembly planning team. A big thank you for bringing us all together over the course of Friday night through Sunday afternoon. We gathered in circle and we pet goats, and we had a wonderful young child who is a part of our cohort, and we sang together around a campfire, and we welcomed Shabbat, and we said goodbye to Shabbat, and we voted on priorities, and we were in healing spaces with one another, and we were having conversations, all of which each of these pictures represents one of those things. And it was just an incredible time to be together as a community in a way that we are not often able to be in person. And so it was just a really special time of being able to experience that. And I'm grateful for everyone who was able to be there. And for those of you who weren't able to be there, at the end of the gathering, we produced what's called a book of proceedings so that you can read about every single meeting that happened during that weekend and glean the knowledge from that. And you can also participate in these groups that formed after the assembly around some of those priorities that we voted on. So while the assembly was a moment in time and a special moment for those who were there, it's not an experience that is limited only to those who were able to be there physically. And we really want this to be something that the energy is felt even by those who weren't there physically. The action groups that have come out of this assembly are ones, as I mentioned, that you are able to join in and be a part of. And so I'll just give you a couple of the topics. There's one that is organizing around effective communication within URI, around embracing the other and practices around that, around youth participation, sharing our stories to heal, the interfaith movement becoming more inclusive, planetary well-being, reconnecting with our Indigenous roots. And these groups have taken different forms, and some of them are in different places in their formation. And so if you're interested in joining any of those, I would encourage you to reach out to me, and I'm happy to put you in touch with the other people who are engaged around that topic area. This has been a really beautiful way for people across URI in North America to connect with one another around specific issues and areas that are important to them. After the assembly, many of us went immediately to Reimagining Interfaith, which was a collaborative gathering where URI members were really able to shine and to share through workshops and presentations about the work that is being done within the URI community. And that was a really special time for people to connect and to have their capacity built around things, and also to connect with people outside of URI. So it was a beautiful sort of flowing into that. As you know, we also just got back from the Parliament, as Victor mentioned, and it was wonderful to see there the way that URI members were able to connect. And for those of you who weren't there, it's another experience like the assembly that it really is our hope that that is not a moment in time that is limited to the people who are able to be there and experience it, but that it is a time that was an impetus for many partnerships and collaborations that will be of benefit to all of us and to all of our cooperation circles. So we really want to work on making that something that feels present, and that what came out of that feels useful and helpful to all of you and to our whole community. Throughout the year, we've had a few different calls like this one. There was a community call around the issue of family separation down at the border, which was a direct response to requests from our cooperation circles that we provide a space for them to connect around this all-important issue and to think through responses that each of our cooperation circles might make, or that we might make collaboratively. We had a call about 6 weeks ago on the open space process, where that process was both taught a little bit and also experienced, and then we're having this call today. There's also been so many online interactions through newsletters and groups, Facebook groups and email groups and all of those wonderful things that we hope that many of you have been able to engage in, and if you haven't, we hope you get engaged in those in the coming year. As we look ahead to 2019, to the next year that is going to be upon us here in just a couple of weeks, we really look forward to welcoming some new members to our North America Leadership Council. We're going to be welcoming Rico Ancampo from Camp Anytown, Kate Sheehan Roach from Contemplative Life, Aaron Tamayo from Arizona Faith Network, and Felipe Zarita from the Golden Rule Project are all going to be joining our Leadership Council as members. And the Leadership Council helps to provide strategic direction, fiduciary responsibility, and many other things to the North America region. They help to provide much of the much of the work, although it's sometimes hard to call it work, there should be a better word, for bringing so many of the things that you see in our region to fruition. As you saw in the picture of the photos of people who came together to plan, there's also many volunteers, and we're so grateful for the volunteers who have engaged with URI in 2019. And we're really excited to, in 2019, be rolling out a little bit of more structure for our volunteers called the URI North America Support Team. And this is going to be a way for us to better recognize our volunteers and to also help them feel more connected to one another. We have a lot of volunteers working on different projects, but maybe not in consistent communication with other volunteers. And so we're excited to roll this out in 2019, and I would encourage you all to look at the information that comes out about that from me in early 2019. Another thing the Leadership Council did this year that's really going to steer where we're going moving forward was we engaged in a strategic planning process based on all of the input that we have received from you all throughout the year at the Regional Assembly, through phone calls, through calls like this one, to really say what does URI North America need to be by 2020? And we set some strategic goals that are really going to be guiding our work in this coming year and the year to come after that. And so I just want to share a few of those things with you, a few of the things that we are looking forward to offering. The Leadership Council really wants to increase our connections between Leadership Council and staff members in our cooperation circles, as well as the connections among and between cooperation circles. We're looking forward to hosting youth at the UN again, as I mentioned, and encourage folks to think about who in your cooperation circle might want or be eligible to apply for that. We look forward to supporting you to participate in Golden Rule Day. We look forward to hopefully hosting 1 to 2 what we call bioregional gatherings in 2019. These are gatherings that will be for either specific geographic areas, you know, the Northwest, the Southeast, or maybe a smaller area, or around specific topics. And so we welcome you to think if your geographic area might want to host one of these gatherings, or if there's a specific topic area around which your cooperation circle might want to host one of these gatherings. These gatherings are always done in collaboration with the local cooperation circles. And so I invite you to think about whether that might be something that is calling to you and to your local CC to host some fellow members. And if you are, please get in touch with me so we can think through if that might be something that's possible. We're also looking to pilot a CC exchange program where cooperation circles have an exchange, a more formalized exchange, potentially in person, potentially online. And so if that's something that you might like to participate in, again, I invite you to contact me. We are, as I mentioned, there's a group of folks who are working on communications, and we promised and we want you to know that we have heard your input on making our communications more effective, and we really have a team of dedicated people who are working on finding ways that we can improve that. So finding ways that you can more easily get the most important information from URI at your fingertips, that you will be able to know sort of what's most relevant to you. Those are really big questions that this committee is holding, and I'm thankful to everyone who serves on that committee, and know that we welcome your input on that, and we also want you to know that we're putting a lot of time and effort into doing that for you. Another thing that was in the strategic plan is to really help raise the visibility of URI across the US and Canada. And so in the new year, you'll see some requests from us to help with more publicly identifying your cooperation circle with URI. I'm gonna actually do a shout out because Geraldine is here, and she's from our newest North America cooperation circle, the Squamish Multi-Faith Association. And she emailed me today and said, hey, can I have the logo files? I'm updating our website to add our affiliation with URI. And that kind of thing is exactly what we would love to see happen across our network, so that not only are we identified with one another in spreadsheets and in databases, but really publicly showing the world that there is a movement of people, that this is not just one organization in isolation, but that we are together in a global movement. As we also look towards the next couple of years and what we heard the needs were from you all, we want to make sure we're continuing to become more diverse and inclusive in all levels of URI and all parts of URI, and looking at diversity in all its forms. So know that that's something that we are really working on and committed to tuning into, improving and continuing to grow in that area. We have heard your requests for capacity building opportunities to help further your social justice work and your work with diverse groups of people. We're going to be working on what that might look like and anticipate reaching out to you to seek your support and your input in the design of these opportunities to really make sure that they meet your needs and take into account your context. We also are going to be in that same vein with the capacity building and the communications and all of that, we want to make sure that we're really giving you very consistent and regular opportunities to engage in the URI community, and that's something we're going to be working on improving in 2019 so that you know when your next sort of touch point is with URI. If you want to be involved, you want to join the support team, we would really welcome you to help move us in this direction as we look towards 2019. Just to give you, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then we're going to move into the next part of our call, to give you a snapshot of what is beyond 2019. Part of the strategic plan that the Leadership Council has approved is a commitment to holding a regional assembly every 3 years. So this would mean that our next assembly would be coming in 2021. And this might seem like a long way away, but I'm sure that it's going to be here before we know it. And so I would encourage you to think about if you might want to be a part of that planning team as we move towards 2021, or if perhaps your local area might want to host the next regional assembly, just to put that bug in your ear. And finally, in 2020, which is, just a little more than a year away, we're going to be engaging in global council elections. As Victor mentioned, our board of URI is elected from our members, and cooperation circles can nominate people to stand for election. And that whole process, which is a very big process and very involved, will be happening. And we really have it as one of our goals to have diverse candidates stand for election and to have participation from all parts of URI North America in the voting process. And so as we move towards that, I just want to also put that bug in your ear for who you might know, or perhaps you yourself who might be interested in running for Global Council, but also to keep it in your cooperation circles awareness that this time to vote will be coming, and you'll have that amazing opportunity to do so. So that is what, 4 years almost in a nutshell, and just really excited and honored to be able to continue to shepherd this work and midwife it in collaboration with so many of you. So